purpose. I was never naked on purpose.
Okay.
I think the rule of thumb was when they start speaking.
Okay.
When they start saying words.
So there will be no bath time for me and my daughter. That's weird.
I'm not here to say what's weird and what's not weird.
Okay.
I never
Your eyes are telling me it's weird.
All right, hey guys, it is Sam from Aperilife, and in today's video I wanted to talk about a clip that I showed in the beginning of this video. I wanted to talk about that clip and how coming to Italy, how I've become a lot less alert when it comes to certain things. Like my guard is down in a lot of different ways, and I want to talk about how in the States there's so many things that I just feel it just messed up, like a lot of the mindset. And I'm not sure if it comes from like the days of like slaves and slave masters and taking advantage of people, and you know how like when the people who they sent to the US and to Australia were the outlaws. Like I'm not sure if it comes from like that mentality that went unchecked for many years until like the civil rights movement, and now we've got laws and stuff that are protecting us more and we're much more vocal about it. But of course the things still happen. But I saw this clip today. It was via the Neighborhood Talk, and it was a clip from, I think it's the Kelly and Mark show, if my memory serves me correct. I know Kelly Ripa has had a long history on her, you know, on the daytime TV show, from her with Regis to her with like Michael Strahan, and then her with, oh my God, Ryan Seacrest, and now it's with her husband. And I saw this clip where Kelly was out and Andy Cohen was filling in and her husband was still the co-host. And I'm not sure of what the full segment was like, but it really made me think of how messed up we are in a lot of ways in the US. And this is not a Italy's better than US type of video or anything like that. It's just certain things that I feel that are so innocent here in Italy, and I feel in the States like so many things are like just taken not just out of context, but like they have been, the innocence of certain things have been like just disrupted. So before we go actually into my thoughts, I want to say ciao tutti. My name is Sam. I am a flight attendant and a housewife, basically house girlfriend, who lives between New York City and Florence, Italy. Right now, I'm in our house in Florence. I am on this channel telling you all about life in Italy, my thoughts about things in Italy, my thoughts about the comparison between the two countries, my thoughts about aviation, about pop culture, about a lot of different things. And my purpose on here is to kind of just like give you all like the true tea on what it's like being in Italy, and kind of what happens with your mindset when you do go between when you do go from living in the US for a while to coming to Europe. I will say that it is hard for a lot of people to get reacclimated to the States. Of course, if you don't have an option but to get, you know, acclimated or whatnot, then you do what you have to do. But a lot of people who I know who have lived a short time in Italy and that has embraced La Dolce Vita, whatever that may include, and went back to the States, they have had a difficult time. Now, I will say a lot of these people were not really engulfed in the Italian lifestyle, like finding work, actually finding real housing, things of that sort. It was more on like a study abroad type of situation. But nonetheless, they've tasted some, almost like an extended summer type of experience of being in Italy. So if you like that type of stuff, if you're interested in that type of stuff, maybe you just like my look, my voice, my whatever, and you want to support the channel and give me a subscribe, a follow, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, so that's what I talk about here, and every like, follow, and comment I appreciate, especially if you're following me on all of my social media platforms, where I am Aperilife on everything except TikTok, where I am Aperilife88. So anyway, now that we've gotten that out the way, just briefly to talk about this this video that I saw. And to kind of give you guys some context or some backstory. So a few years ago, I'm going to say maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, it was definitely before the vid came out. I remember contacting my friend in Rome, and she lives between Rome and Asia. And I remember like we were talking, and I was just saying like how there were certain things that kind of made me feel a certain way. Like it was a little bit of discomfort when it came to like seeing like some interactions with Italians and their children, especially the girls, because I was like, this kind of seems wrong. And it's like it was wrong from in the sense of just like basic stuff of like the girls walking around without a bra and like a white t-shirt and just chilling, wearing really short shorts, and like maybe putting their legs up or something, like not legs up like ooh, but like like maybe sitting on the sitting at the table, the outside table, and having their leg on top of the table and relaxing, playing on their phone. There were also other things like sitting on their father's lap or like butt slapping, just like little things that seemed a little off to me. Little things that in my community we looked at as you're being fast, you're provoking someone, that's not appropriate. And at that time when I saw it, I just thought like this is like, what if these people are verts? P in the front. P verts. So, because I don't know what words you can say here on YouTube. I'm not familiar with the do's and the don'ts, but I didn't find it. I was like, this is kind of weird because in my community, in my country, not just in my community, this is looked at as something that you should not do to entice or to provoke a person that is older than you, or a person who might have intentions that are not so pleasant, or a person who might be the same age as you or whatnot, and it might be considered appropriate for maybe two people of a certain age to engage in certain acts. But it was like, oh, you doing that, you're starting something. And it was always something more or less with the women, where we were put in this box of having to do everything we could do to not provoke, and predominantly an adult who should know better. And as things have gone on, the blame of women being fast. Fast is what we call it, at least in the Black community. Like if a girl is doing something a certain way, they say she's fast. It's never like the guy's fault, that he should be able to control himself and he should understand the repercussions for him engaging or entertaining a girl that is of a certain age. It was always the girl's fault, and you were making that guy feel that way, and it's your fault. And it's crazy because a lot of times it doesn't matter what the girl is wearing. As we know, SA does happen. But like in this particular case, it was like, like there's tons of victim blaming, but it's always like, you should watch what you wear, because what you're wearing is what is the problem. So, and what you're doing is the problem. And as I've been living here in Europe, and I've seen on the beaches, like the children that are able to frolic around naked, or frolic around with just the bottom of a swimsuit piece on. There is a type of innocence that I feel, in a protection that children have here, that does not exist in the States. And I'm not exactly sure why. And I'm not exactly sure how to actually change that, and what needs to be done to change that. Because I'm from Florida, and you guys know there's the SA list. And you guys can hopefully, or it's the SO list, but it's full of people who SA people. And it is a list of people who are Pedialyte. And Florida is full of them. There's whole villages of people with that. And I'm not saying that here in Italy that it doesn't happen. So do not get me wrong. I am not saying in this video that things like that do not happen. It totally happens. And we are all familiar with all of the Catholic Church stuff. Like I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is, like, let's say, for example, right? We remember when Rihanna had to release her son's pictures, like, I don't know how old her son is now, but like, maybe 7 or 8 months ago, because a tabloid had gotten a hold of them and they were going to release her son's photos. So she just did it, which basically kind of like, I guess, made the photos less valuable. And remember like celebrities like Janet and Michael Jackson covering their son's face, their children's face. And I remember like certain celebrities that, they wait to like introduce their child to the tabloids, and some people make money off of it, but also some people just kind of keep their children under wraps. And here in Italy, and I can only speak of Italy, I'm not sure about France, and I can't speak on the United Kingdom and Portugal and Croatia. I don't know the laws of any of those countries, but here in Italy, and I'm not sure to what exact age this is protected, but here in Italy, if you go to the blogs, or the tabloids, you will see the children's faces blurred out. It is not the tabloid's right to show the face of other people's children. It is not their right. Children are released, their photos are released by their parents, even if it's the picture of a child that we've seen before. Let's say, for example, if it was like Northwest or, one of Kim Kardashian's kids or whatever like that. Even if it was a kid that we've seen before, if that particular tabloid is releasing a photo and they are showing the parent, they are blurring out the child's face. And there is a certain sense of protecting the innocent of a child that you just cannot deny. Even I have friends that when they show like pictures of their children's school picture or something like that, they blur out the kids' faces that are not their own. They put little or little emojis over all the kids' faces or whatever. They respect the privacy of children. And I don't know why that is not like that in the States. And I don't know why we have taken so many things that are looked at as that should be seen as innocent, and we have like found a sick and twisted way to make it something that adults who have bad intentions can take advantage of. Even when you look at some of like the beauty pageants and things like that children do, and you look, some of those children, they look possessed because, remember like the JonBenet Ramsey, all that stuff, the girls were like, let me show you. It'd be like, I saw this one and it was kind of crazy. The little girl was wearing these little kitten heels, and it was before she got dressed up for her pageant, and then she turned around and it was like, and I looked and I was like, why are they doing that to that child? She's been taught to react that way. She's probably been taught that this is perfection. So if she's not in that look, she probably is self-conscious. It was just like a lot. And when I saw this, I looked at the comments because this was like reposted on one of our tabloid sites, which of course our tabloid sites will show a child's face unblurred and all this other stuff, like on Instagram. But Italian pages don't do that. They have like a certain level of respect in the protecting of the child. And I'm seeing more people do it, especially if it is a negative post that is being said. Like if the parent has done something bad and they protect the child from something like that. But it's just one of these things that is so eye-opening, coming to a different country and seeing how these situations are taken different, and how parents can have this connection with children that are looked at as something that is completely okay. And once again, I'm not saying that situations like that do not exist where inappropriate things happen. I'm totally not saying that. But what I am saying is that if a person is taking a bath with their daughter, like how Andy Cohen was saying, it shouldn't even be thought of twice from the sense of, oh, he's going to do something bad with his kid. It's just kind of weird. It's weird that we think of it that way, and that it even has to be said. Then it is that, hey, this is the child's parent, and this is probably the person that has the best intentions for this child. So, it's one of those things where it's a double-edged sword because good things and bad things can happen, and I do understand why people feel both ways when it comes to dads bathing with their children. And in some of the comments, they were saying, just tell me you all had a troubled childhood without saying you have a troubled childhood, which I didn't have a troubled childhood in that way. But I understand that mindset. But I do remember my elder saying certain things that like made it seem as if I was going to entice men, and instead of like calling out the men, it was me that was wrong. You know what I mean? I remember like little things like that, like especially now in hindsight when I think of it, it's like instead of checking those men, you're saying that I need to be checked as a child. And then like you look at like certain comments that were saying, oh, maybe with swimming trunks or things like that, which I can see that also being fine and okay of that. And like even like how and I don't know if Italians use like the actual like the word that translates into vagina or anus, the words. I don't know if they use that or if they use like little pet names, like little nicknames. Like I've heard like little things like patatina or whatever like that. I think that's a word that they use for that. But anyway, like a pet name that they use for a child's private parts. But I feel like even in the States, like the biology part of it all is looked at as something that is bad and shameful, versus here where you discuss the body parts and the menstrual cycle and all of the things that are considered like normal biology that everyone experiences in some way, shape, or form, with hormones, with body changes, with age, with puberty, the decline of life where certain things stop working the same way. Like all of that seems like something that is openly talked about, and it's talked about in a way that is not considered like shameful. It's like normal. So, I don't want children. I don't have a desire to be a mother. I've never had that. And a lot of it has to do with me having so many children around me growing up. And, my sisters had kids and I had older siblings. So I was, there help take care of my nieces and my nephews. And, now where I am in life, I have some friends that are having kids and I'm okay with their kids, of course. But then it's like for me, like that, all that forever paranoia, worrisome, and also, even if you do that, you feel as if you did everything that you could do, and your kids still turn out to be like, giving you trouble and all the other shit. It's like, well, it's just one of those things where. It's one of those things where it's just like, I'm glad that people are reproducing, but I will not be partaking in that club at all with how things are going current day in society, in my options of where I would raise them. And like, if I were to outweigh the pros and the cons, there's pros and cons in both countries, but I'm not sure who has the biggest pros and cons. Like I might be able to raise a child that can make more money and be more successful by industry standards or whatnot. But I don't know if that child will be the best type of person. So like there's a lot of different stuff, and I don't want to get into that, but I just wanted to like express that like it's something that here in Italy that there is that innocence that still exists, and I'm happy that it still exists. And, as people get older, here they have their own misogynistic issues with patriarchy and like in the justice systems and all that stuff. When you start to have problems as an adult with the opposite sex or whatever like that. But like when they are children, I feel that there is a different type of innocence and protection that happens that I really, really, really wish that us in the U.S. could adopt. So anyway, guys, that's just my thoughts on that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know down below your thoughts on this. If you have any, let's remember to remain respectful in the comment section, and I will see you on the next video. Ciao, ciao.